myself to the university, from high school, I wondered, why can't my students enjoy that kind of learning? Fast forward, coming back to Singapore, I continued up as a head of department in science, as also doing my work, as well as my master's in US, and I started changing a lot of the things because I started to look at learning not from me as a teacher. I must cover syllabus, I must cover syllabus, I must cover what my students must learn, because I realized covering content is boring. Covering content is painful because I'm rushing to finish my syllabus. I'm rushing to just teach to the facts. What turned me and excited me to do my doctoral studies after my master's into 21st century learning is when I started to see the beauty of learning from my students' eyes that says, wow, I like that. When my students realize, hey, learning is fun. Hey, why didn't I think of that? Yesterday, Andrew mentioned that as educators, we are learning entrepreneurs. Let me say that again. Remember yesterday, Andrew mentioned that we are learning entrepreneurs. If I were to unpack what is learning and unpack what is entrepreneurship, learning requires processing. Learning requires meaning making. And learning requires that student to take ownership. At the same time, on the other hand, the entrepreneur of us as educators would be that we find different ways to make what learning is to be fun. We make our learners love learning. We must excite, as you said yesterday from our friends from Vietnam, from Bangladesh, that you said our students must feel empowered to learn. Now, for the good 17 years of my life in Singapore education, I was in one of the better schools, but I don't like learning. I just work very, 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 very hard. But when I found meaning in how I learn, the entrepreneurship in me says, I got to find better ways to get my students to own what they learn. Can I recommend you to think about this? What if I don't cover learning, but I get my students to uncover learning? Let me say that again. If teachers are constantly rushing to cover the syllabus, we are just doing a job. We do more marking, we do more screening, we do more classroom management, and we just teach to test. But what if I can uncover learning and allow students to make meaning of what they learn? Wouldn't that be a lot more fun? So, ladies and gentlemen, if you see me, can I ask you to do one thing? Are you with me? I'm not sure about you, but as an educator, when I teach in Korea, when I talk to my teachers, I want to make sure that my teachers know what I mean. I mean, you know I'm from Singapore, but currently I'm also the headmaster of US Singapore International School in Gangnam. And you may wonder, hey John, how do you become a headmaster or principal of school when all these months, because of COVID, I'm here in Singapore? If you agree with me, ladies and gentlemen, can you go down to the reactions? Can you all click on the reactions? I'm sure you can see there is a clap sign, there is a thumbs up sign, there's a heart-shaped sign, right? There is a sad sign, and there's a, can everybody show me your face? If you understand what I mean, and my job is to make sure that you learn. If you don't learn, if my students don't learn, it is not the student's problem. It is the teacher's problem. If my teachers don't learn, it is my problem. And so today, get ready to unlearn and relearn. So if you see the sign, if you see that you understand, you like learning so far, if you understand what I mean, can you all please try this? Can you all click on the clap sign under reactions? Everybody. Yay, yay, yay. Help desk, are you learning? My friends from Cambodia, are you learning? Put a clap sign. Now, let's try this. If you wonder, let me ask this question again. If you wonder whether your students or your teachers are struggling now, are they struggling in your country? Are they struggling in your schools? If you think that they are struggling, please can you put a sign that shows, the face of, I'm worried. How many of you can want, if you wonder your teachers, are they understanding? Do they learn? Are they struggling? Do they connect with students? Please, in the reactions, give me the sign. Click on the sign that shows the face. Got it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like it. Now you guys are opening your mouth. When you do this, imagine we are doing this. What if all your teachers think, there's power. There's power when we learn. There's power when we are able to think whether we understand or not. Now, are you looking forward? Let me say this one time. Are you looking for this afternoon where you will love, you must look forward to loving? In Korean, I don't know how many of you watch K-pop, but because I'm a headmaster of a Korean school, 사랑해, 사랑해. 사랑해 means you love. I'm going to tell yourself, I'm going to love learning. Please, can you click on the reactions, put a heart-shaped sign. Is it thumbs up or 사랑해? 사랑해 is love. All right, all right, all right, yay. Thank you. As learning entrepreneurs, as schoolmasters, our job moving forward in designing 21st century learning is this. Uncovering learning covers a few concepts. Number one, firstly, what does it mean to don't cover syllabus, but to uncover learning? In order to uncover learning, please help me. Let me say again. Please help me in the chat box. Write, what does it take to uncover learning? Everyone, please type in one thing. What can we do to uncover learning? Let's go. Hello, Mr. Watt. Nice meeting you. And I'm coming to Cambodia soon. Yay. Hello, guys. Please type in the chat box, what does it take to uncover learning? My friends in Singapore, let's go. Let's start. Kick short. What does it take to uncover learning? Consider learning as playing. Whoa, that's Ms. Myung again. Hello, Ms. Myung. I like what you wrote yesterday. Lifelong learning, my friend from Bangladesh. Well said. Lifelong learning. I need to see the text. Wow, learning with pleasure. Yay, yay, yay. You know, that point of learning with pleasure, I always feel this. If teachers don't like what they're teaching, how can you expect your students to like what they're learning? Let me say that again. If teachers don't enjoy what we're teaching, how do you expect your students to enjoy what they're learning? Right? Learning by doing, Ms. Brunner, I like that. I heard your response yesterday again. Well done, learning by doing. But that's scary, right? Because we are doing all the time. Visual learning, Mr. Tat Leong from Singapore. We look forward to how can we visualize learning. Enjoying learning. Thank you, Cambodia. Enjoying learning. In fact, with Cambodia, I'm working with Mr. Dr. Chan to look at 21st century learning. I look forward to your input soon. Anybody else? What else does it take to uncover learning? Clearly, based on what I hear, I am right as an academia to say this. A lot of you wrote there on areas, if from an academic research standpoint, a lot of you wrote about motivation. Motivation deals with the affective dimension. Enjoy learning, play learning. In Singapore, we have this phrase called the joy of learning. This is one of our national initiatives. How many of you actually speak about the way that we teach content? I haven't seen much of content learning, but what I do see is this. Besides learning motivation, what I also see is this. I see that you spoke about pedagogies. Pedagogies are the ways that we teach and deliver our instruction. This is important to me. Even right now when I'm here in Singapore, I want to co-teach with my teachers in in Korea, right? And in a few months' time, I'll be co-teaching with my team of Singapore teachers with American schools based in Dallas and in New York. But how is that possible? Clearly, technology is one way to do that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to have fun? If you are ready, can I invite you, please go back to the reactions. If you're ready, choose any of those icons and click on how you represent your readiness for this afternoon session. Click on any of those icons that represents how you feel learning will happen this afternoon. Let's go. Yay, yay, yay. I see thumbs up. I see pat. What else? Great, great. But guys, you're not smiling. Hello, smile. Teachers must enjoy teaching, right? Smile, guys. Yeah. Look at all the good looking faces. Gentlemen, you're so handsome. Sometimes the handsomeness comes from here, not from our face. I may be teaching in Korea. I may have a lot of handsome and pretty teachers. But end of the day, I think the best beauty and the best good looking people are those with joy inside our hearts. Great. Question to you. Earlier, if I were to take a few steps, let's unpack this. I first did a scaffold. I first scaffolded learning for you. As school leaders of the 21st century schools, we need to give structures. Scaffolds are ways to teach our students and to model for our learners. And so if you look at how I've been doing assessment for learning, I ask you, step number 1, click a hand sign if you say, I'm going to look for it. Step number 2, show the emoticon of the face that says, I worry, I'm worried, I'm scared, I'm unsure. Because my instructions is do this if this, do that if this. Realize my third question. My third question was of the 6 different icons. Of the 6 different icons, pick one that best represents how you feel. This is where I throw the ownership back to you. To me, good 21st century learning requires us to teach. For meaning. Good 21st century learning requires us to teach for meaning. I'm going to be upfront. John Hattie's research is one in the past decade, in this current decade, one of those that has got us looking harder into our classrooms and our pedagogies. John Hattie's research. And because I'm an academic, I've ground my principles and my design of curriculum based on research. John Hattie's research informs us that motivation is key. At the same time, John Hattie's research also reminds us that good learning has strong teaching practice. Let me say that again. Good learning requires strong teaching practice. And that's why I choose to model for you scaffolds. But as I scaffolded for you, I slowly leave the ownership of meaning making to you. One of the key things also for John Hattie's research based from New Zealand, and this is a strong longitudinal study, is that we tend to focus too much on technology before we focus on what should our students learn. Let me say that again. Based on John Hattie's research, we tend to focus too much on technology before looking at what students should learn. I'll use my own experience. As I shared, when I started as a young head of department, I was given a lot of money from the government because all Singapore schools were on the master plan. And part of master plan 2 at the time, we were told to equip our classroom with smart technology. I bought for my school 20 smart boards. 20 smart boards. Smart boards are those that I touch. I can write, I can print what I write, I can show videos, I can show animation. But my dear friends, my dear colleagues, 5 years later, when I went back to my first school, I asked, where are the 20 smart boards? The smart boards are no longer smart. The smart boards are no longer smart because they are all hidden in my lab. In the laboratory, they are all spoiled and nobody's using them. From that time, in 2004, I was very clear that smart technology requires us to first make our students smarter. Until our students are smart enough, then the boards are useful. So while you at the different countries, my friends in Cambodia and Vietnam and Kyrgyz Republic and Bangladesh, from all of you, my dear friends, think about this. Of course, from a school leader standpoint, from a policy standpoint, we want to empower them. We want to show them what is doable. But until we teach and we uncover learning, then the smart part is integrated with the technology. Now, unlike other presenters where they will show and share the slides at the end of presentation, I say this, if you haven't downloaded the slides, it is at the top of your chat box. It is at the top of the chat box. Please, can everybody please download the slides now? I didn't PDF them. With permission from our friends at the Head Foundation and ADB, right? I have shared my PowerPoint slides as it is. Please, can everybody download it? Once you have downloaded, can you please show me a thumbs up? Thank you. Who else? Thank you. Who else? Download the slides. Download the slides. Download the slides. Come on. Who else haven't downloaded? Yes, download the slides. It's there, guys. Take it. Take it. I emphasize this. In fact, I am right now in my house. If I can show you how, do you want to see my house? Do you want to see my house? Yes? Do you want to see my house? Yes or no? Those who want to see my house, physical hands up. Only Mala. Who else wants to see my house? Really? Really? Can you all smile at least? Hands up. Okay, let me show this. Yay! I'm going to do something that I've never done before. But because all of you mean something to me, just as all of my students mean something to me, I'm going to turn my camera to show you a big elephant. It is not a real elephant. It is a big elephant. Are you all ready? Follow me. Welcome to my house. This is my real house. My children are hiding under the table. But inside here, are plenty of books. Inside here are plenty of books. Research methods and structures of psychology. I teach psychology at the university. I wrote this book. I wrote this book on lesson study. I wrote this book on assessment. This is what I wrote on authentic assessment. More and more and more books. But my dear friends, my dear colleagues, today with internet, I say this with sadness. Knowledge is cheapened. Let me say that again. I am sad to say this. I think today knowledge is cheapened. Knowledge is cheapened because I bought this home, but half my home is filled with books. My doctoral research, the books that I've kept. As a kid, my father told me, John, the best treasure that I can give to you is knowledge. But when, at our times, okay, I may look young, my friends, I may look young, but SK2 works. In our times, books are expensive. Some of the books cost me $300, $500. But today, everything is on our mobile phone. With our mobile phone, we get Google everything. We get all the information we want. It's all there. Knowledge is cheaper. But what about learning? Because knowledge is now readily available when I touch the phone. The teacher's role as a 21st century educator, your role as the 21st century school leader, your role as the 21st century policy maker is to empower learning, is to empower knowledge, is to inspire better learning. To empower learning, we need to model the way forward. And so I dare to give you the slides beforehand because I'd like you to do this. Can I invite you now? Let's go into the classroom to do this part that you haven't done before. Is everybody okay so far? Look at the slides now. I'm going to give you, with some light music, 4 minutes. 4 minutes. Look through the slides and do this for your good self. I call this SPAK. SPAC, sorry, SPAC. First step number 1, scan through the material. Scan through, click scan through. When I say scan through, right, really just look through quickly from start to end. Number 2, pluck the big ideas. Pluck the big ideas. Step number 3, ask questions. Step number 4, connect the dots. Let me give you a bit more scaffold. I am aware that we are all from different countries. And for this, I celebrate because this is where I find when today with technology, when knowledge is easily available, what is powerful and insightful is when we bring our perspectives, our culture, our heritage, our understanding to a new level. So when you're doing step number 1, scanning through the slides, please think about this. Number 1, translate those things that you struggle. Clearly, I want you to understand me as much as you can. So translate those words, big words, right? If John mentioned blended, what does blended learning mean? Translate those words in your own language. Make it understandable to you, not to me. It's not about big words. Number two, process them. Hey, what do you think John wants us to learn? Look at the slides. What are some of the big ideas? And the third scanning it is this. Look at the flow of it. Which of these makes you wonder more? Which of these make you wonder more? Oh, my dear friends, learning is boring if you are covering and students do not wonder but memorize. But learning becomes interesting when you uncover learning and make students wonder. Scanning, let me go through again. Number one, translate it. Make it understandable to you. Number two, process them. Understand how they flow. Number three, wonder. Hey, why did John write this? Hey, what's this photograph about? Hey, wonder, wonder, wonder. Then pluck the big ideas. Meaning to say, are we doing this? How much of this am I doing in my schools? Pluck the big ideas. How much of this is happening in all the classrooms? Ask questions. Ask questions and says, I know this, but perhaps does he mean this? Ask questions could be, what does John mean? What is this? Why is this important? Why differentiated instruction? What is differentiated instruction? And then connect the dots at the end. How is the process for you? How many of you have done this or seen your teachers do this in the classroom? I'll tell you this. Clearly, very often we think that we cover. The better a teacher covers learning, the better the teacher covers the learning, that teacher is a good teacher. But the reality of today is this. It is not about how much a teacher covers the syllabus, but it's about how much the teacher empowers the students to learn. And that's why the power of uncovering. Did you realize one thing? Why is this called flipped classroom? It's because I flipped a few things. What do you think I have flipped? Please type in the chat box. Please type in the chat box. When I say I flipped the instruction, what did I flip for you? What did I flip for you? Please type in the chat box, what did I flip for you? What have I flipped? You understand the term flip? Hiya! Thank you, Purna. You said flip the slides, scan slides. Oh yeah. My friend from Vietnam, thank you. Flip the way we're getting. Thank you. Scan the slides. What else have we flipped? Come on. Flip who delivers knowledge. Yeah, that's right. What else have I flipped? F-L-I-P. What else have I flipped? What else have I flipped? I have also flipped for us. I have also flipped for us the ownership to learn. In the past, we grade and assess our teachers by how well they control the class. Now, that's important. But today, when I say flip the classroom, I take the ownership to the students. It is not how fast I talk. It is not how many notes I print that makes me a good teacher. It is how I allow my students to take learning meaningful for themselves that makes the teacher a good one. How is that happening in your reform in your countries? Think about that, right? Oh, my friend, thank you. I love that part. Flip mind. Whoa, flip mind. That's right. I like that. Flip the mind. Not just flip the mind. Can I suggest this? Flip the hands too, because if you want to learn, I hand it over to you. That's why I gave you the slides. I flip the mind because it is not about I do more, but in Singapore's policy, teach less, I talk less. Teach less, I do less. Teach less, I less. But how may I empower learning to be more? So it models this way. It also flips the way of thinking. It models the way of thinking because I want my teachers, and later on you will see two of my teachers. I want my teachers to model that joy of learning, that spirit of let's learn together. In the past, we expect our teachers to be the almighty teacher who knows everything. But the truth is, with technology, how much can we squeeze inside here? So let's get ready. Let's do the next part. In fact, look at this. In the next slide, and I'm sorry, let's go back to one more step. The earlier, connecting the dots is important. Connecting the dots is when students make sense of what they are learning. And that's why earlier I talked about meaningful learning. Meaning making is not about how good you are as a teacher. Who makes meaning? The learners themselves make meaning. Right now, who is making meaning? You are making meaning. My job is to empower that meaning making to happen. And in order to do that, clearly, step number one, I strongly encourage all of us as educators, as leaders to do this. Provide structure. And so I'm going to ask this. Can you now please, if I have gone through step number 3, ask questions, please can everyone type in at least 2 questions in the chat box? Can everybody please type in 2 questions in the chat box? Let's go. Two questions based on my slides. What did you write just now? What questions have you wrote? What makes learning interesting? Thank you. What else have you written? What else have you written? Good, good. Any risk when flipping the ownership? Of course. How to guide creative thinking? Thank you. How to pluck ideas? I like that. How do you pluck ideas? One more, someone, anyone. What other questions have you put in there? My friends, do teachers easily give away control? Oh, my dear friend from ADB. Haha, excellent question. My friends, colleagues, and fellow educators. When I started my doctoral study, I was already very interested in creativity. Because to me, creativity, it powers the human spirit. Creativity drives change. And creativity allows us to see possibilities. But while I was part of the Ministry of Education in 2005 to 2012, developing our Singapore's version of 21st century curriculum framework, I had this issue where I wonder, how do you allow all of these to happen in the classroom if our students are afraid to think, are afraid to wonder, are afraid to dive deeper? Today, having done work again in Kyrgyzstan, in Russia, in Denmark, in US, and today in Korea and in Singapore, I'll say that all curriculum reform will be a lot of paper exercise. I'm sorry, a lot of paper exercise, a lot of good words, big words, policy level, will be a lot of good intentions. But the translation of these into the day-to-day teaching and the classroom, where teachers teach different, where students learn different, all of these is futile if we are not able to empower students to think creatively. And that led me to my doctoral work. And in 2017, that was 3 years ago, that was where I won the Ruth Noller Award given by the Creative Education Foundation in US. I was the first Asian to win this research award, because I argue that creative thinking will just be fun and novelty. We cannot translate that into how students start to ask questions. That's why I gave you step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Because in our part of the world, teachers teach by telling us step by step. So I say, don't throw that away, but guide them. And that's why the word scaffold. Can I set an expectation? Back to John Hattie's work. Oh, beautiful. How to make learning joyful. Back to John Hattie's work, as well as Carol Ann Tomlinson. Please Google her. In fact, let me write this down, because besides John Hattie, I would say in Singapore, we have our own Miss Dr. Reverend, Professor Carol Ann Tomlinson, and he's coming to the studio, to my house in a short while. Dr. Carol Ann Tomlinson research is one that I find a lot of power about differentiated instruction. And later on, our Singapore's version of Carol Ann Tomlinson will join us right here in the studio, in my home shortly. But two things that both of them said: setting high expectations. Setting high expectations of learning. I was just on the phone last night until 11 p.m. with somebody from Laos who wanted me to start an international school there. And I said, my job as an educator is not to just bring Singapore education in. Enough of us buying US program, UK program, enough of IB, IGCSE, but how might we empower our local teachers to bring up the level of learning? But the basic foundation is empower students first to ask good questions. And so my scaffold to you and my expectation of you, both Carol Ann Tomlinson as well as John Hattie have this common principle: set high expectation. Today, all of us will not log off until everybody to ask at least 5 questions. Because I want to respond to your point. Do we dare to let students connect the dots? If they don't even ask the questions, they can't connect the dots. How might we empower learning to be more interesting? Let them ask us questions. So everybody, is that a done deal? Please put in the reactions if you are going to ask 5 questions, put a thumbs up. I'd like to see everybody thumbs up if you can ask me 5 questions today. Yay, yay, yay. Thank you, and thank you. Great. This is important. Setting expectations so that everybody just play and ask questions together, right? In my research in problem finding as creative inquiry, it is scary to ask questions because in our Asian context, in the bigger Asia, in fact, around the world, even in Kyrgyz Republic, even in Bangladesh, students who ask too many questions, teachers will say, you are a troublemaker. You are making me work too hard. But my dear friends, education today, if technology is so important, if they don't ask questions, whatever we're teaching is just head knowledge, right? So let's go on. One more. Actually, if we have more time, I would have done this. Check back. Check back is a very powerful way of assessment for learning, right? But unfortunately today, I like to spend more time for you to ask questions. What insights did you have gained from yesterday? I'm going to ask my friend to now break us up very quickly, very quickly. 2 minutes into our breakout rooms. Let me say again, 2 minutes in our breakout rooms. The first group, Group A. Group A, you go into Group A, you go into the new breakout room. Answer the question, what insights did you gain from yesterday? So when you're in there, say hello everybody and just type as many as you can. Group B, you go into your breakout rooms and type in what insights did you gain from the day before, day one, right? Ready everybody? So write down as many things as you learned from yesterday for Group A. For the other group, go into the day one, the opening where the different country reps spoke. Are you ready? Mala, I'm going to hand this over to you. Breakout rooms into 2 different groups. On your mark, get set, go. I'll see you in 2 minutes time. Let's go. I'm going to now see everybody. No slides. Let's have this. In order to build a participatory learning, right, students must also not only have the courage to think and question, but to have the courage to speak their minds. One of the biggest problems in our education system today is we tell students what to say and when to say. Okay? However, knowing that we have a class size of 40 students, even especially right now with COVID, turn off the slides, that we have so many students and we cannot have everybody speaking. Go back to my point number 1. How do we create structures and scaffolds? So we now need to model this. Educators, principals, policymakers, get ready. Everybody unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. All right, let's all unmute yourself. When you hear my phone buzz, right? So teachers, you got to hear more. Students, I'd like you to pick up the most important points that you wrote just now. You wrote a lot. You wrote a lot. Your job is to speak clearly and concisely. Shorten the most important ideas. When you hear my buzzer goes ring, you will stop talking and the next person jump in and just continue speaking. Everybody, you only have 15 seconds to speak. Everybody, unmute yourself. On your mark, first person, just say what you learned yesterday or the day before. On your mark, anybody, ready? Let's go.
Respond to the new assessment where the hybrid learning shines.
Good. Next person, go.
It's important to create environmental situation for all students to be involved in learning process.
Great. Next person, go.
Yesterday we learned how do we manage the post cabinet management for the students for reopening school by using hybrid method.
Great. Next, go.
Yesterday we learned how to train up our teaching staff and school staff to face the pandemic situation.
Great. Next, go.
What will be our duty as a school leaders?
Awesome. Next, go.
We also learned about how to manage well-being.
Great. Last person, whoever goes, go.
Learning to accept the loss and learning to respond.
Teach less, learn more.
Whoa. Great. And stop. Ladies and gentlemen, well done. Give yourself a round of applause. Well done. Right? Now, how did you see the way I changed the learning? Clearly, I don't care which country you're from. I only care that you're here to learn. Do I care about your accent? No, I don't. Because I want you to listen hard to one another. Do you hear that? I don't even care whether you have a doctorate or a PhD or whether you're a young educator or whether you're a very senior school leader. All that doesn't matter. I care about what have you learned. That to me is a key foundation of setting high expectations. Because today learning with technology is no longer about whether I'm rich or poor, but about how ready I am to learn. Setting high expectations, also the same, because I can tell my teachers to do this, do that, do this, do that. But their motivation to learning and the motivation to do these actions is not dependent on what we say anymore. I'm now going to shift it slightly differently. If you see, are you still on the slides? Now, we're going to now do this. We're going to play a bit. And what we just did earlier was connecting the dots of yesterday's talk to the day before. The power of neuroscience really is this. When people speak, we ideate. When we ideate, we start to make connections across different ways of looking at things, right? And that connections across different points, data points, is very powerful in the way that we excite thinking. I'm going to now invite everybody to play a game using technology. This is very powerful because if I want to establish trust in the classroom, if I want students to ask questions, if I want students to learn to say, I'm ready to listen, I'm ready to build on your ideas, then the tools that we select are very critical. I'm going to invite a friend. This guy is one of our Singapore's real entrepreneurs. He came up with a fire to want to change how students learn. And technology became a very powerful way because we teach too much words. We tell students these words, memorize them, underline them. We tell students this few words gives you 1 mark. These few words gives you 10 marks. Learning becomes textbook. Learning becomes routine. And learning loses its meaning. Tak Leong, young handsome man, share with us what technology have you created and lead us into the game. Everybody get ready. Welcome Tak Leong. Tak Leong, I'm going to hand the time to you.
Right. Thank you, John. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tak and I'm from Kodomo, where we transform learning experiences to make it fun and relevant to learners. In this segment, we'll go through an interactive ideation activity using Rolljak. Now first, why do you think we named our tool Rolljak? Have you been to Singapore and tried our local dish Rolljak? It's a combination of seemingly clashing ingredients like cucumbers, dough fritters, onions, but somehow when you mix them together, it tastes heavenly. All right, that is exactly what creativity is, where we make magic happen by collaborating with people from different cultures, like what we have now, different skill sets, and different perspectives. So today we'll experience this for ourselves on Rolljak. So this is a gamified rapid ideation tool that allows you to engage, collaborate, and innovate with your institution, community, and classrooms. I'll just go through a quick overview of how it works. We'll start with a challenge. Then everyone will join on the online game room like Kahoot. And we'll draw out our own ideas. So like what John mentioned, instead of using text, we'll use sketching. Then we will collaborate and build upon one another's idea. Finally, we will rate and review the top few ideas. All this in just 5 minutes. All right? So what to expect? I'm just going to share you through what you're going to see on your screen so that you know what to do later on. This is today's challenge. How might we design a chair for someone? All right? It's like the chair you're sitting down right now. How are you going to design a chair for someone else? And I'll give you a preview of what you will see. So first, when we go to the website, we'll all join the same game room. All right, so once you join the game room, you'll draw yourself. It's just for you to practice sketching. And when the game starts, you'll be given 3 options, 3 occupations. And you need to pick one person that you want to design for. It could be a chef, it could be a teacher, it could be an astronaut. Okay, so it depends on what you get. All right, so it'll be 3 options like that, and you just pick one. After you have chosen the person, we'll all start sketching, and we will sketch it on this canvas here. And below the canvas, there'll be a tagline for you to write a short description. Okay, again, so you'll be given 90 seconds to draw and write a tagline. After that, this is the fun part. We'll swap and you'll get someone else's idea, right? So once you get that person's idea, you can draw over their idea and build upon their idea. So this is where the collaboration part comes in. Once we are done ideating, we'll move on to rating and converging on the top 3 ideas. All right, so we diverge and then we converge. There will be 3 metrics for you to rate each idea. Creativity, how creative is that idea? Complexity, how difficult is it to achieve? And clarity, how clear is that idea? Because remember, ideation, a large part is also how you communicate that idea. So finally, we'll review the top 3 winners. So this is the flow of the challenge. So let's play. I want you all to go to app.rolljak.com. I will also share the link in the Zoom chat so that you can join it. All right, so let me try to exit the screen. Okay, so we'll join the room here. I'll paste the invitation link in the Zoom chat. So you can join this on your smartphone, on your laptop, or on your tablet, iPads. It's up to you. Go to app.rolljak.com. Key in the room code EE1352. And once you are all in, I'll start the game. Okay, you should see something like that. Oops. You should see something like that. So just key in the room code and your name and click join room. All right. So I want all of you to join and participate in this activity. If at any point in time you have any questions, just type inside the Zoom chat as well. We'll assist you. All right, I see some nice drawings. Okay, while we wait for the rest to join, just a quick hint on how you can complete this challenge. Just think through. When you get the person that you want to design for, just think about how they use the chair or interact with the chair every day, and put yourself in their shoes and think about a day in their lives. the things they do, when do they sit down, when do they stand up, how will their ideal chair be like, and what kind of functions would they want for their chair. Okay, so just some hints for you to see your ideas. These are some structured way of thinking of ideating, because I see some questions that were raised previously. How can we be creative? How can we connect the dots? So these are some leading questions that we can think about when we are ideating. All right, again, I encourage everyone to join. You can join on app.rolljak.com. And once you see this screen, key in the room code, your name, and click join room. Because if you're just staring in my screen, you won't see anything. You won't be engaged. You won't participate in the ideation process. So we are expecting probably 15 to 20 people. So I just give like 1 more minute for the rest to join in. And you have trouble joining in again, just voice out or just type in the chat, and we'll try to assist you with that.
If any of you are having trouble joining the game, feel free to just unmute yourselves and call for help. We'll try to assist you.
Okay, somebody is already practicing how to draw a chair. So again, this is not the challenge yet. But you can just start practicing how to draw on the interface. All right. So maybe addressing one of the questions that were raised previously as well. How easy is this for a teacher to give up control of the classroom? In fact, every time I do this exercise, I'm quite afraid, but at the same time very excited about what kind of ideas will be out there. Because unlike Kahoot, this is very open-ended, so there's no right answer. I'm really giving control to each one of you to come up with your own ideas based on the challenge, right? So even I don't know what will be the outcome of this whole exercise. All right, so just maybe 10 more seconds. I'll count down for 10 more seconds for the rest of you to join. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, great. I'll start. So get ready. Okay, again, this is the design challenge. And right now, you'll see 3 occupations appearing on your screen. Just choose any one of them that you want to design a chair for. All right, now that you have the person you want to design for, you will start sketching your idea of the chair for that person. All right, so next up you'll see the blank canvas. Sketch your idea inside the box, and below it, remember to write a description. Okay, think about how that person will use a chair in his everyday life. When does he sit down? What does he do when he sits down? What can the chair offer for him? All right, 3 more seconds.
Now here comes the fun part. Let's swap again. Get another player's idea. Get another player's idea.
Okay, so now you'll get someone else's idea and you'll sketch over their idea by building upon the person that they chose. All right, so you'll see someone else sketch. The occupation that they choose will be different. So try to add on to their idea. Okay, again, this part is collaborative, so try to build onto that person's idea and not totally erase their idea, right? That's not the point of this exercise. Okay, 5 more seconds left.
Awesome. Now get ready to vote for your favorite ideas. Each of you will rate a random set of ideas generated by other players.
So right now you'll see a few sets of ideas. For each idea, you can rate how creative, how complex, and how clear that idea is. Right? This is the conversion part of the ideation process. And after that, we will combine all your results and review the top 3. Okay.
Awesome. That was really intense. We have got so many ideas in just a few minutes. Let's see the winning ideas.
So right now on your own screens, you will see your own idea and how it fared compared to other ideas in the room. Now, what I want to show you now is to come back to your Zoom, to my Zoom screen, and I'll show you the top 3 ideas. So drum roll, please. In third place, we have Farmer by Lynette. Lynette, do you want to share about your idea? Is Lynette here? Okay, but from what I can see is
sorry, I had problems with my mic. No,
Okay,
my
yeah, sure.
idea really was for the farmer who has been working hard in the field to, you know, to be more relaxed, to be more comfortable after a hard day's work.
Right. So what do you add on top of the chair here?
Well, I was not the one who drew that, but I think it's really to shade the farmer from the sun, I suppose.
Nice. So I see that collaborative element coming in. Somebody added onto your idea of a chair with a shade. That's nice. All right, let's see second place. Sing Hey. Right, if I forgive me if I pronounce it wrongly. So this is a chair for a mechanic. You want to share about your idea?
Hi. From my point of view, the chair for the mechanic must be very simple and very functional. That's why this is my idea.
Okay, I see. Thank you. And in first place, we have a farmer again, and by Azamat.
Again, it's me. I just try to image what the chair will be comfortable for the farmer after the hard working day, and it was my idea.
Right. Okay, nice. So even if there's the same persona, like a farmer, two different people will have two different perspectives of how to design for the farmer. And that's what this platform is all about, to bring multiple perspectives together. All right? So lastly, I just want to sum it up. What you have just experienced is a short design exercise. And it really is a very structured way to be creative, all right? You have just experienced things like empathy, creativity, idea evaluation, collaboration, storytelling, and improvisation. So all these very valuable 21st century skills in just 5 minutes. So I hope that with this, we can provide you with a structured way to learn creative problem solving and crowdsource ideas within minutes. And there's a safe environment for everyone to participate equally and collaborate without judgment. Most importantly, it is very easy. I'm sure you all found it easy as well, to use it to cultivate the innovative spirit across all levels. So lastly, I'm very grateful to be able to share this platform with all of you today. And I hope it ignites that creative spark within you. And we welcome you to reach out to us for a free demo. Thank you. All right, John, back to you.
Hey, welcome back, and thank you, Tat Leong. Thank you very much. Do you all have fun? Hey, now, part of participatory learning is to try to stretch students' imagination. The scary thing, my friends, is once the imagination is stretched, teachers' job is to empower them to tie that into content learning. But I want to highlight one thing. My dear friends, what do you think 2617 means to you? What does 2617 mean to you? Let me give you a clue, my dear friends. 2617 has to do with us adults and this. Now, educational psychology has power in the way that we look at learning, but there are certain things about technology and globalization that is consistent. Have you made a guess what 2617 means to you? Me asking you this question is because today it is the number of times that we adults touch our phones a day. Let me say that again. 2617 in 2017 piece of research recognizes that as adults, we touch the phone 2,617 times. And here in our classrooms, in our schools, we prohibit students from touching their phones in the classroom. Who touches the phone more? Adults or students, children? Adults or children? Clearly, our students will touch the phone a lot. My challenge to us here is simply this. The amount of phones that we touch, the amount of time that we touch the phone, each time that we like, each time that we click fast forward, each time that we read our emails, each time that I go on Zoom, it shortens our attention span. It shortens our attention span a lot. 2003, when they first did a study of human attention span, it was 10 minutes. Today, before our mind starts wandering, it has shortened to 5 minutes. So the amount of time that we can stay focused really is scary. Not just that, my dear friends, as we look at your country and as we go into reform, let's look at the slides. Let me use another story. I showed you my home. Now let me show you my son. This is my son with his classmates back in 2016, when my son was secondary 1, 13 years old. That's my son on the wheelchair. So he was a young freshman in the Singapore secondary 1 level, and he plays rugby. When the teacher called and says, Dr. Yo, your son has an accident. Can you rush to the hospital? Whoa, I was scared and shocked. So me and my wife rushed down. And after the operation, so basically my son's legs were crushed because he was playing rugby. The other bigger boys crushed him. After the operation, the classmates came. Oh, as a school principal, I was so happy. It's like, wow, this is a good school because his classmates came and sent their regards and says, hi, how are you, Joshua? But my dear friends, I just told you a lie. I bluffed you. I told you a white lie because this photograph happened after this happened. The moment that all his classmates came to class, the first thing that they said is, Joshua, what's the Wi-Fi password? So actually, this happened before the other photograph. So can you see how real? I was sitting there as a father. I was a proud school principal. But the first thing they come in wasn't, hello, uncle, how are you? How's Joshua? The first thing they came in was, Joshua, what's the Wi-Fi password? Can you see the photo? All of them faced there and all of them were typing the Wi-Fi password. As a father, as an educator, I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening? After they finished all of that, next photo. Then they said, I'm sorry to hear that, right? And then they took the proper, correct photograph, which is, let's take a photograph that we're here to comfort Joshua. My dear friends, times have changed. Their priority, and as a researcher, when I do lesson study, my first research point, data point always is, what's their motivation? Where do they first look at? What do they focus on? And that to me was a shock. Because as a father, I see my son and his classmates interact. I realized times truly have changed. If you want to prepare your students to be future-oriented, what might we need to change? Clearly, motivations have changed. Clearly, we need to better understand what motivates them. And I mentioned earlier that I'm going to bring to you Singapore's version of Carol Ann Tomlinson. And I'm proud to be, again, not a proud father, but a proud teacher. This young man just received a National Teaching Award for innovation. He was my student 20 odd years ago. I can't show you my age. And he just won the award, but he is one person who has done a lot of work with Singapore schools and helping teachers to differentiate instruction. Please may I introduce to you my good student who will share a bit more. How can we differentiate learning even today with technology? Tim, please.
Thank you, Jess. Hi, good evening and good afternoon. Let me adjust the camera first. Hi, so I'm Timothy Joshua, and like John was sharing, I'm actually his student when I was younger. And so he was just sharing a story about his son, Joshua. And I'm here to talk to you guys about differentiated instruction. I would like to start off with a story as well. When I was younger, I have an older brother. And when I was a child, my parents always treated him the best. So he was a better student and he would always actually score better in examinations. And this is why he was always rewarded better. And he was always given more allowance money, for example. So when I grew older, I actually asked my parents, like I put up my coverage and went to them and said, hey, how come it is so unfair? How can it be in the first place? We are both your sons after all. And I was actually told that we're given different amounts of money because we're actually different. And from that day on, I actually began my lifelong study into differentiated instruction in the first place. And now when we look at what's happening out there, we realize that many of us who are parents might be guilty of this in the first place. And if we have children, what we will do is that we realize that no child is actually the same in the first place and no one method works. So now imagine you have 10, 20, 30, 40 of these students in one classroom in the first place. They're all different and they all learn differently, but there's only one teacher. And this is why differentiated instruction, or DI, comes in. So DI actually is a teaching philosophy, and what happens here is that we look for how to teach a diverse class full of different students who are all very different, and they all need to meet the same learning objective in the first place. And what happens here is that the teacher has to do a few different things to make sure that we can succeed in DI in the first place. So there are 4 ways. The first way is to do it through content. The next is through process, followed by product and environment. But before I go on to all these 4, the first thing I want to talk about is actually assessment. And what we do in DI first is that we actually look out for how ready is a student to learn the next topic. And by doing that, we do a pre-diagnostic test to assess how ready they are for the topic in the first place. Some students who are better or good, they might be less ready for a certain topic. So for example, if you're a fan of soccer, you might like this topic more, and you might be a stronger student in writing. But if I change the topic to, let's say, basketball, even though you're a strong student in writing, you might actually be weaker in that or may not be so ready in that, and therefore you could be in medium readiness. So to repeat, when we assess students, we look at it in terms of whether they are high readiness, mid readiness, or low readiness. And from then on, we can start our differentiated instruction with them. And so the first thing we do is we consider content. So when we look at content, what we do is that we look out for different sources of information for the students to learn. So they can actually acquire different skills, concepts, or knowledge through different things that we give them. So let's say you want to do a research on COVID-19. We could give them videos, we could give them simpler articles, or even social media posts to learn about the information. And when we change the content up, certain students might be more able to learn from the simpler videos on social media, or even just from the news articles that they find easier to read. Whereas those who are more ready, they can tackle the more complex newspaper articles that we adults tend to read. That will be for content. The next part we'll look at actually process. Process is the one that is the most complex, but yet also the most important. In doing process, what we actually do is that we help scaffold them to the skill that we want them to learn. So let's say I'm trying to teach them writing, and let's say I'm trying to teach them how to write a good story. I'll usually use 5 senses to help them write a story in the first place. And for the stronger students or the more ready students, what they probably need is just a worksheet where it says, tell me how you feel based on your 5 senses, and they are good to go in the first place. But those who are weaker, they need us to be there to scaffold them and help them throughout the entire journey, or they may need some questions for us to begin think, oh, so if you're in this basketball match, what will you see? What could you hear, for example? And through that guidance that the teacher gives them, or through the worksheets that we give them that scaffolds that learning process, they're able to therefore achieve the same outcome as the higher readiness students, because they're able to describe how the basketball match is like. So that's for process. Let's move on to product. Product is the part that is the most fun, to me at least. So in product, what happens is that actually we allow them to choose, or we let them take out different modes of assessment to better see whether they have mastered the skill or not. So let's say if I want to teach them algebra, what I could possibly do is I could ask them to write a song about algebra, or I could ask them to do a skit about algebra, or even write a poem about algebra in the first place. That way, through the different modes of learning that they have, they're able to showcase how well they know the knowledge in the first place. And the other important thing when you look at the product is that you must give them a chance to choose what they want to do. For all of us here who have known kids, we realize that they always prefer to have made that choice in the first place. And if they make a choice that they like, they tend to do better in it, or they will actually pull through all the way, especially since they're more motivated after their choice. And that's where the product actually comes in. If you do a differentiated product, you allow them to choose, you give them the choice in the first place, they're able to go further and they're able to go into their work deeper as well. The other thing that comes when you look at product is that some teachers will actually tier their products into different levels. So they can actually challenge the students to try, why don't you try a high level version of this? For example, if you have a song, instead of just having a simple song, I want to have, let's say, a simile or a metaphor in the song. And that way they can actually show their skills and therefore be stretched to hit the final outcome. Now, the last thing that we look at when we look at DI is actually how the environment affects things. And that is where how we look at the way classrooms are designed today. And that is more importantly where technology comes in as a key enabler to help us do DI in the first place. And the first thing about that is that with technology, we're able to therefore assess people better because now we have automated assessments. Within a short period of time, when there's 40 students and I use non-technological methods, I'll need to mark all 40 scripts to figure out, is this student ready or not ready? But with technology, I can use the automated tool. Within 5 minutes, I can tell who are those that's ready for algebra, for example. And then I can move on faster to my lessons already. The other thing is that when we do this, we can actually monitor learning of the students real time. Throughout the entire lesson, I can tell, is student A or B more ready, or are they doing well in a particular thing or not? Do they need my help or assistance? And that's where in a technologically enabled classroom with DI, it actually means that students can therefore be monitored better and you can give them feedback to help them better as well. Besides that, with technology, you're able to allow them to have access to a large pool of resources. So you don't have to create and print 1,000 worksheets just for different students in the first place. You could, for example, have a website where the students could access different materials, and when they're ready to pitch up to the next level, they can actually access it on their own time and do more difficult materials as well. And the last thing and most important thing is that with technology, we can actually give them multiple avenues for their learning. So besides just creating essays or writing things on paper, what happens now is that they could actually do more multimodal products. They could do a TikTok video. They could perhaps do a social media post, or they could even go further to look at larger scale inquiry projects. So when we look at DI, at first it may sometimes seem confusing because we have to choose between different methods and there are different tools that we can actually use in the first place. But the core belief and the most important part is that we always base the choice on what is the key takeaway that you want your students to learn in this unit of work. And in that belief, of course, is our belief in the students that they can learn and will learn with our guidance and with differentiated instruction in the first place. And with that,
Hi, everyone. Now, that was a lot of powerful learning. First, write in the chat box, why differentiate instruction? I'd like to everybody please type in the chat box, why do we need to differentiate instruction, especially today? Please type in the chat box, why differentiate instruction? Why differentiation? Why differentiation? All the more today. All the more today. Why differentiate instruction? Anyone? Tai Leong, why don't you start first? Type in why differentiate instruction. Ready? Okay, now think about this. Let me try this, right? I like to still see in the chat box, you typing. Are you still with me, guys? Are you still with me? All right, part of assessment for learning is that we want to check whether students understand what they learn. Okay, so because of the diversity, my friend, thank you for responding. You are a lifesaver because of diversity. So I'm going to now check whether you understand how differentiation works. How many types of differentiation are there for students? You differentiate by, oh, I like that. Thank you, my friend from Vietnam. Ah, very good. Oh my gosh, all the points. Yes, by task, Bruna, again, you win the prize. How else? How else? Yay. How else can we differentiate instruction? By task, which is content. What other ways did my friend shared earlier? Okay, task media, what else? What else? Remember, we are students, we have so much to say. Okay, so if by task, by text, okay, so ladies and gentlemen, ready? Open your eyes. Yo, 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 open your eyes. I bring to you a special something. I wish I could throw this and send this to all of you, my friends. But how might we differentiate the learning of this object from a science point of view? In fact, let's have fun. Miss, I'm going to invite my two friends as well. Differentiate by task. So if I were to say content learning, and these are my students, I have real students in class. Zoom back. So how can we differentiate the learning of tasks? When you differentiate this by content, what would you differentiate? How do you teach this differently by content?
Use different fruits.
Okay, he talks about different types of fruits. What else will you differentiate by content?
The texture of the fruit.
Texture. So we talk about senses, right? Senses. What else would you differentiate? The color, all right? So differentiation for an elementary school level, you want students to focus on what are the different types of colors, the senses, the texture. What is the next method of differentiation? Do you remember? So we're now recalling. What's the next method of differentiation? So you can differentiate, if you remember what Timothy said, about process learning. What are the different ways for students to understand this? So what might be the process of understanding the richness of this fruit? Perhaps the process of looking at social studies, right? How the fruits, agriculture. How would you look at agriculture in your country? What are different ways to study agriculture in your country? Ms. Vanessa. Okay, my A-star students, let's go first.
I think you can measure how much fruit is being produced.
Oh, okay. So how many fruits are produced in the country? Which part of your country produces more pineapple?
And
what
whether
else?
they export this out for their country.
Very good. So local as well as overseas export. All right, very important to your GDP. What else?
Seasons.
Oh, wow, well done. Look at this girl. Seasons, right? Understanding this, what are the different seasons of producing this? Well done. Besides content, process, what else? The products. How do you allow students to create different products of understanding? We can't ask students to plant pineapple because they take a long time. But how might we show that students have learned? It's a project about pineapple. What kind of products would you want? Think about this now from a science. Earlier we talked from social studies. What about from a science point of view? From a science point of view. I'm a science teacher. So products. What kind of products would you want your students to produce? Can we do a dance as a way to show that students have learned different seasons, right? Maybe in Hawaii, right? Hawaii. In Hawaii, right? They have this Hawaiian dance as well, right? So what else? What other products of learning? Can they write an essay? Perhaps from a science point of view, how would the plant cells differ? What are the different types of cells, right? Be it, what are the cells in the thorny part? What are the cells in the leaf? How are the cells different from the fleshy, juicy part of the cell? Which one has more water, right? That could be a biology, that product. You get a point? Finally, the last point about differentiation, content, process, product. Do you remember what's the last one? Environment. Can you smell that? How would you differentiate based on the product? Perhaps, let's think about this. Environment today could be going to different places to research, to see how pineapple grows in different parts of your country. What else about environment? Environment could be, can we bring them for a learning journey into the factory? Can we study how Pineapple grows in different parts of the world. All right. So thank you, Timothy Joshua. Chair, before we go, and you're not done yet, this is the highlight of today. My dear friends, going back to 2617, 2617 is about motivation of learning. And even with technology, I know a little secret. Because I've been teaching for so long, I know some of you haven't been paying attention. Some of you were checking email. Some of you were talking to your friends. Some of you are asking, what time can I go for dinner? Right? It's very hard to capture attention if you just talk and talk. And that's why we need to break the monotony of learning. When students are bored, especially with technology, how do you capture that fact? I'm going to do something different. Last year, I got 500 school principals in India to do this together with me. I know you are all happily seated. My dear friends, sitting too long is no good. It's bad for your bones. Do you know what I want you to do? Oh, yeah, I see people studying. I want to invite you to join me and my wife's, not my wife's, but my wife and my friend, my teacher, my wife's. I want you all to dance together. Let's say again, dance together. When school principals dance, I tell you, in my years of education, when I dance, my students go, wow. My teachers go, yes. You don't have to be a good dancer. She's the good dancer. And the fact is, we talk about differentiation, right? Not all students learn the same way. Today with technology, we are giving chance for students who don't typically learn the same way to shine. And so I've chose my favorite. I like young people, and young people tell me that they like Korean pop songs. And so wherever you are, thank you for standing, my friends. Salute. The rest of us, let's stand. All right, I'm going to lead the dance wherever you are. If John can dance, so can you. Let's dance. All right, dance makes learning more fun. Dance gives us a lot more energy. All right, get ready, everybody. Loosen up. When you sit too long, it becomes boring, right? Okay, ready? Now, differentiated instruction means we all learn differently. Not everybody have to be just as good. Are you all ready? Just move along. Let's follow our teacher. This is Miss Stephanie. Let's all go together. Stephanie and Vanessa. Everybody stand up. I'll just enjoy.
Here we go.
Wow! Well done. Breathe, everybody, breathe. How do you feel? Thank you, Steph.
Thank you.
Steph, she's my dance teacher.
Hello, everyone.
She's also part of my team. Tell us a bit more. How does dance change the way we learn?
Okay, so for dance, okay, it relieves stress, it makes you happy, all right, and it also helps to churn out different types of creative juice coming from the body, because dancing is more of expressing yourself using your body, all right, you don't need to talk to express, all right, so in a way, all right, it's more of a natural movement, so everybody move very differently, and there's no right and wrong, all right, so maybe some of them, they move like robots, some flows. It also depends on how individual feel for different types of music and as you move. All right, so this is one way you can find some inspiration through movements as a form of dance, yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Steph. And this is my girlfriend. This is my wife. Everybody say hello, wife. I mean, hello, Vanessa.
Hello.
The fact is this, we started dancing because I was very sick. I was very sick for a long time. But I've always liked music because music comforts me. Music makes me feel happy. 2617 is the number of times that we touch the phone. if we don't break students' addiction to phone, if we don't break the way that they learn, can you see what happens to what we teach in the classroom? It doesn't change. Vanessa, share with us how difficult it is to like dancing. The fact is, in differentiated instruction, it doesn't mean that we all have to be good dancers. She is very good. I like it, but I'm still learning. She likes it, but she is
Very tough for me.
right? Likewise, in our classroom, any learning is not easy. When it's too easy, no learning takes place. Share a bit about your experience. How do you enjoy learning along the way?
When I first started, it was very difficult because I have difficulty coordinating my hands and my legs, especially when it's left hand and with right legs. I have a lot of difficulty doing that. But I think as the days and years gone by, I've learned to love the flow of the music. And by the flow of the music, I was able to move myself. But I think most important is I just want to enjoy. I don't care whether I dance wrongly or dance the wrong side. I just enjoy.
Thank you. Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you, Stephanie. Please take a seat. You know, my dear friends, the fact is, end of the day, when our students graduate, when our teachers leave out of the classroom, what makes teachers happy? What makes students feel that they have learned something? What brings out the joy of learning? Now, we're not dance teachers. I'm a science teacher. I'm a school leader. But when I dance with my teachers, I don't care whether I'm a good dancer, but we all enjoy together. 21st century learning requires collaboration. This is where I throw out to all of you. In the slides, I have put what we do and what I've researched in the past few years on what transdisciplinary learning means. Today, I bring my students and my teachers from Korea to learn together with my American students. I bring my Singapore students to learn from one another. I love to see students from Ho Chi Minh learn from Hanoi. I love for students from Sri Lanka to learn from Bangladesh, to learn from India, from Pune, to everywhere. Because it's no longer about how much I know, but how would your learning make me think differently? I want to close now. I want to thank you for this afternoon. You look, I started with a jacket, and now look at me, I'm sweating. But the fact is, you enjoyed learning, right? And that to me is important because the motivation of learning opens up when students realize they can't learn. You keep scolding them, they don't learn. When teachers don't perform and you keep telling them, work harder, do more, stay back after school, it makes teachers feel lousy. Because of my accident, I realized this. Learning connects. Connection, be it through task, the content. Connection, be it the process, the way we learn. Connection, be it the product, the essay, the dance, the literature, the poster. Or connection by differentiation through the environment of learning. These are the 4 points I always feel are critical to grow us as individuals, as teachers, as school leaders, and as our students. I want to close by inviting everybody. Type in, please, in the chat. And to me, checking back is a very powerful way of making sure students have learned. Please, everyone, type in 2 things that you have learned today and 1 thing that you would like to include in your final project tomorrow, where I'll be seeing you together with Andrew, and next Monday. Let me say again, please type in the chat box 2 things that excited you, that you've learned well, and 1 thing that you would like to apply into your project, be it for your school, for your district, or ways that you can improve education. Please take some time, everybody. For those of us struggling, greetings to you all. For those of us struggling, take a moment to read what others have written. We are always rushing to add. We forgot, especially with technology, we forget that sometimes we have done a lot. We have done a lot. Thank you. I saw somebody about differentiation, about Rolljak. Oh, that will make my friend Tat Leong very happy. We forget that we have captured a lot of them inside. If you're struggling, look at what people have written. Build on that. I can use Rolljak online. Can I use Rolljak offline? How can you differentiate? Oh, yes. My friend Suvashis, you wrote about how to take effective class. What does effective mean to you? Learning with pleasure. Oh, Mr. Abu Said, thank you. Yes, learning with pleasure. When students enjoy learning, that learning sticks. Let me say again. When students enjoy what they learn, that learning sticks. You know, like sticks? It's like, I don't want to learn, I don't want to learn, but the mind, I want to learn more. Stick. How do you make learning stick? Thank you. Differentiation. Learning without realizing, oh yeah, that kind of learning we remember, that sticks. Thank you, Tat Leong. Scaffolding. Yes. Empower. To my friend, Mr. Huat, Dr. Huat from Cambodia, empowering learning students. The essence is how do we teach our students and teachers to trust. In this part of our world, we've forgotten that empowerment requires trust. Sometimes it's not just teachers not trusting students. I'll tell you what burns my heart. Having been an educator all these years, having gone to Thailand, to Vietnam, I haven't gone to Cambodia yet. I hope to go to Cambodia, Laos, and all other countries. Because to me, what if we can teach our students to trust themselves? Let me say again. I struggle as an educator because my job is to empower minds. But what if we can teach students to first trust themselves? What else? Thank you. Sustainable learning. I like that. I like that. Right? Good learning is not just once-off. Good learning must be sustainable. Thank you. Last point, everyone. Last point. There is power in typing and writing, especially on a platform like this. If students just listen, they will. That's why, to me, I always model. Listen, think out. Think, say, think, write. Right? Otherwise, talk. I'll say this. If my students don't enjoy learning, my teachers don't enjoy teaching, I have failed as a school leader. Even when I do policy, I always see, are they ready? What else can we make them happy? Great. I want to thank all of you. I look forward together with Andrew tomorrow to work with you. And please feel free to keep thinking. Good learning sticks. Otherwise, once again, 감사합니다. 谢谢. Arigatou gozaimasu. I look forward to meeting all of you tomorrow.